Welcome to Fun Facts Daily, your source for just the good stuff. Monday through Friday, we're bringing fun facts and news you can use, all carefully curated to uplift and inform. So give yourself a break, relax, and learn something awesome in just a few minutes every day. Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Wood, and today we're going to be learning all about the world-famous Zen temple of Ryoan-ji in Kyoto, Japan. But before we get into the facts, let's warm up our brains with a little challenge to see if you can tell fact from fiction. Consider this. The rock garden at Ryoan-ji is world-renowned for its minimalist design, consisting of exactly 15 carefully placed boulders resting on a bed of white gravel. But it's often claimed that the garden was designed so that no matter where you stand on the viewing veranda, you can only see 14 of the rocks at one time. They say this frustrating limit was a deliberate design choice meant to symbolize human imperfection. What do you think? Were the rocks truly carefully arranged to drive you nuts with something always hidden from view? Or is that just a legend told to tourists? We'll find out at the end of the episode. Now for your word of the day. Our word for today is karesansui. That's Karesansui. A karesansui is a Japanese term that translates to dry mountain and water. It refers to the specific style of Japanese garden that Ryoan-ji made famous. Instead of using actual ponds and streams, a karesansui garden uses rocks, gravel, and sand to represent the elements of nature. It's a form of artistic expression deeply rooted in Zen Buddhism, intended to aid meditation by stripping away the distractions of lush foliage and flowing water. Now, if we look at the word itself, kare, the prefix, means dry, suggesting that even in the absence of physical water, the mind can perceive the mountain, or san, and the water, or sui, through the ripples raked in the sand. This style became popular during the Muromachi period in Japan as Zen monks sought to create spaces that reflected the internal landscapes of the mind. By focusing on these static, silent elements, observers are encouraged to find vastness within a small, enclosed space. Time for your daily high five, our top 5 fun facts about Ryoan-ji. Number 1. Many famous monuments were designed by a celebrated architect, but no one actually knows for certain who created the garden at Ryoan-ji in the late 15th century. Some historians suggest it was a highly respected monk named Tokuho Zenketsu, while others believe it was the work of Kawaremono, or professional laborers who specialized in garden construction. Because Zen focuses on the erasure of the ego, it's actually quite fitting that the creator chose to remain anonymous. Number 2. The white gravel is raked into specific patterns every single morning by resident monks. The, quote, water you see in the garden isn't just a static floor of pebbles, it's a meticulously maintained work of performance art. Every morning, before the gates open to the public, Zen monks use specialized wooden rakes to create perfectly straight lines and concentric circles around the boulders. This process is not just for maintenance, it's considered a form of moving meditation that requires immense focus and a steady hand. The patterns are designed to mimic the movement of water, with straight lines representing the stillness of the deep sea and circles representing ripples around land masses. Because the garden is outdoors, wind, rain, and even birds can disturb the patterns throughout the day. This constant cycle of creation, destruction, and restoration serves as a perfect metaphor for the Buddhist concept of impermanence. It reminds us that beauty requires effort, and more importantly, nothing in the physical world will stay the same forever. Number 3. Scientists say the garden has a sort of hidden tree structure. In 2002, researchers used a mathematical analysis called medial axis transformation to study why the garden feels so naturally calming to the human brain. They discovered that the empty space between the rocks actually forms the shape of a branching tree in our subconscious mind. When we look at the rocks, our brains are not just seeing random points. Instead, we're subconsciously connecting them in a way that mimics the fractal patterns found in nature. This scientific discovery suggests the garden's layout isn't really random, it's actually sort of tuned into human perception. By placing the rocks in these specific nodes, the designers created a visual harmony that the eye perceives as a unified whole. Even if you don't consciously know why, sitting and staring at the garden is so visually pleasing and satisfying, it induces a state of relaxation and mental clarity. Number 4. The wall enclosing the garden at Ryoan-ji was made of clay boiled in a natural seed oil, and that oil has seeped out over the years, leaving streaks of browns dripping like a misty ink wash. When you look at the rock garden, your eyes are naturally drawn to the walls enclosing the space, which are just as fascinating as the rocks themselves. The builders created these walls using a unique mixture of clay that had been boiled in rapeseed oil. It was an early form of sort of chemical engineering designed to withstand the elements. The oil acts as a natural waterproofing agent, protecting the earthen walls from Kyoto's heavy rains and changing seasons. Over the last few hundred years, the oil has slowly seeped out of the clay, creating a beautiful natural brown stain across the surface. But when I say stain, it doesn't look dirty or ruined. These unpredictable stains look almost like traditional Japanese ink paintings of misty mountains and landscapes. It's a perfect illustration of the concept of wabi-sabi, which is the philosophy of finding beauty in aging, weathering, and imperfection. The wall is essentially a living piece of art in its own right, and those seeping stains not only add some interesting texture and variation in the colors, it bears witness to the passage of time. And our fifth and final fun fact for today: Ryoan-ji was once a grand estate of a powerful aristocrat before it became a temple. Long before it was a world-famous site for meditation, the grounds of Ryoan-ji belonged to the powerful Fujiwara family in the 11th century. It featured a massive pond, which still exists today, and was a place of luxury and political gatherings. It wasn't until 1450 that Hosokawa Katsumoto, a high-ranking official, acquired the land and converted it into the Rinzai Zen Temple. The large pond, known as Kyoyochi, offers a striking contrast to the dry rock garden located further up the hill. While the rock garden represents the void and internal reflection, the pond represents the lushness and external beauty of the natural world. Most visitors flock to the rocks, but the pond contains several small islands and a shrine to the goddess Benzai-ten. Ironically, while the temple is such a peaceful space, shortly after it was founded by Hosokawa Katsumoto, the devastating Onin War broke out, and Katsumoto was actually one of the primary commanders. During the war, the magnificent temple was burned to the ground. The serene, peaceful garden we see today was actually rebuilt out of the ashes of a violent civil war, which on some level makes its message of peace and contemplation even more profound. Now for some news you can use. If you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, you can actually create your own miniature Zen garden. All you really need is a small, shallow container, some fine sand or salt, and smooth stones you can find outside. The key to stress relief with a Zen garden is the slow rake. As you begin using a small fork or a stylus to draw lines in the sand, focus just on the sensation of the tool moving through the grains. This is called grounding. By focusing on a simple, tactile task, you give your mind a break from worrying about the future or the past. It brings you right into the peaceful present, just like the monks at Ryoan-ji. Studies on mindfulness and tactile meditation show that engaging in slow, repetitive motions like raking sand actually activates your parasympathetic nervous system. That's the rest and digest network in your body, and when it kicks in, it physically lowers the heart rate and reduces the stress hormone cortisol in your bloodstream. And in addition to those physiological impacts, it has psychological benefits. Giving your brain one simple sensory task to focus on has been proven to decrease anxiety, boost your mood, and increase your overall attention span. Finally, the moment you've been waiting for. At the beginning of the episode, I asked, is it really true that you can never see all 15 rocks simultaneously at Ryoan-ji? Well, that's a fact. From any traditional seated position on the viewing veranda, at least one rock is always hidden from view by another one. This is widely considered a deliberate design choice by the unknown architect. In the Zen tradition, the number 15 represents completeness or perfection. By making it impossible to see the 15th rock, the garden reminds the viewer that as long as we are in our physical bodies, our perspective is always limited and incomplete. Only through reaching enlightenment, symbolized by seeing the garden from a higher spiritual plane, could one truly perceive the whole. But the clever placement of the rocks isn't the only way the ancient designers played with our perceptions. While you're sitting on that veranda, the garden stretching out in front of you looks like a perfect rectangle, but it's actually a brilliant optical illusion called forced perspective. The garden is actually shaped like a trapezoid. The surrounding walls slant inward slightly, and the back earthen wall is subtly lower than the front wall. This tricks the brain into thinking the garden is much deeper and wider than its actual size, showing at Ryoan-ji there's truly always more than meets the eye. Now, I hope you enjoyed learning a bit about Ryoan-ji with me today, and be sure to tune in every weekday for even more fun facts. Fun Facts Daily is an Airwave Media podcast. It was written, recorded, mixed, and edited by me, Kyle Wood. Thanks for sharing a part of your day with me. Be sure to follow Fun Facts Daily on your favorite podcast app so you can keep the good stuff coming your way every day. And if you like the show, please do me a favor and leave a kind rating, review, or just tell your friends about it.